this is Cooking with Randy. Hi, Randy.
I wrote a poem about it. It's called I Am Absolutely Alive. It's in the sway of my hips, the strength of my stride. I am not dead. I am absolutely alive.
Do you have a hard time feeling worthy? Maybe because I was young coming into it and I didn't have a lot of like improv theater type experience.
What's really going on behind the scenes of Saturday Night Live? Kenan Thompson, the longest-running cast member, has shared some shocking secrets about the show. Did you know there's drama that fans never see?
Oh, I ain't done with him by sight. I'm gonna get Old Testament on his ass.
What about the pressure the cast faces every week? Fans are stunned by what Kenan revealed. Are you ready to uncover the truth about what happens when the cameras aren't rolling? Let's find out.
We didn't want to be like 30 years old still trying to play a kid on Nickelodeon. And yeah, the timing of that was just crazy.
Kenan Thompson was born on May 10th, 1978 in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents, Fletcher and Elizabeth Ann Thompson, raised him with his two siblings, an older brother and a younger sister. When Kenan was just 9 months old, his family moved to Atlanta where he grew up. His mom signed him up for acting classes when he was only 5 years old, and he quickly became interested in acting. Kenan's first role was playing Toto in a church play called The Wiz, but he didn't have any lines. Despite that, he kept acting, appearing in school plays like The Gingerbread Duck. As a child, he loved watching The Price is Right and even said it was his first love, which helped shape his style of acting. Kenan's big break came when he was part of CNN's Real News for Kids as an entertainment reporter. After that, he became a star on Nickelodeon's All That, where he played different funny characters like Principal Pimple and Super Dude.
Right, I'm Super Dude, the teenage superhero with powers that make women sweat.
He also starred in Kenan and Kel, a popular show that ran from 1996 to 2000. While working on the show, Kenan also acted in many films.
For me, SNL was the biggest bridge, as far as like adults taking me seriously as an adult, because we were already grown, we was in our 20s, so we didn't want to be like 30 years old still trying to play a kid on Nickelodeon.
Sadly, Thompson had little to show for his Nickelodeon fame at the end of his years of work. During his early career, Thompson fell victim to a tax accountant scam, losing a substantial portion of his Nickelodeon earnings. This setback forced him to rebuild his finances from scratch. In an interview with a source, Thompson explained, "That first commercial, when they paid me, it was like $800. I was 12 and it might as well have been $1 million. Landing and keeping continuous work wasn't easy. Kenan also faced rejection. Thompson admitted, "I really considered not wanting to act anymore if these are the kinds of things I had to go through. It was almost like I was forced to stay humble, if you will, because when I could have been at my most boisterous, everybody knows my name kind of years, I didn't want that because I didn't want people to know I was struggling. It's kind of the beautiful conundrum, the irony of life." When the subject of finances came up, Thompson explained how due to a lack of laws protecting child performers in Florida, where he filmed with Nickelodeon, he was scammed out of a significant portion of his early earnings.
How much did the accountant get you for?
$1.5 million.
Damn.
Something like that. I mean, that was, my contractual like deal at the time or whatever. But
For Good Burger?
For like overall Nickelodeon existence.
Yeah.
My mom met this dude somewhere through the community, either church or neighborhood S, through a book club or something, who claimed to be a good kind of tax accountant, will get you out of your tax problems for the cheap, he recalled. He was basically a con artist and ran away with my biggest earnings up until that point, Thompson revealed. By the time that was discovered, that was toward the end of that Nickelodeon tenure and the end of the job-to-job existence I had up until that point, and it was devastating because I discovered it in front of others. Thompson explained he was in the process of buying his first home in Atlanta when he discovered his accountant wasn't who he thought he was.
A couple years of like, man, I don't know about this whole like, one job here, one job there, like every few months kind of thing, because the bills come, every month, no matter what.
He didn't show up with the check. I'm with the real estate people at the office waiting to sign this paperwork, and he doesn't bring the check. It's crazy going from rags to riches and back to rags, he said. Despite these challenges, Kenan didn't give up. He worked hard to rebuild his finances and continue his acting career. Kenan being on the show wasn't always smooth. In fact, he almost quit early on because of how hard it was in the beginning. In his book, When I Was Your Age, Kenan, now 46, shared how tough his first year on SNL was. He said he made many mistakes when he joined in 2003. One of those mistakes still haunts him. It happened during a sketch called Randy the Bellhop. The sketch was written by T. Sean Shannon and included Rachel Dratch and guest host Alec Baldwin. Kenan was excited about this big moment. He played Randy, a clumsy bellhop, and wanted to prove himself. But during the dress rehearsal, he stuttered on one of his lines and couldn't recover.
Hi, I'm Randy, and this is Cooking with Randy. Hi, Randy.
Unlike in movies or Nickelodeon shows like Kenan and Kel, there were no retakes. Everything had to be perfect for the live show. Kenan panicked, and someone in the room even said, "Oh no!" That made things worse. The sketch didn't air, and Kenan felt like he had failed. He noticed that after this, the writers didn't want to work with him. He felt invisible on the show. When the season ended, Kenan thought he wouldn't be asked to come back. He felt out of place and doubted himself. He said he was famous enough that people would recognize him on the subway, but he couldn't even get airtime on SNL. This made him feel really low. He almost gave up. What changed everything for Kenan was a talk with Maya Rudolph, another cast member. Kenan asked her why he was even chosen to join the show. Maya told him it was an easy decision. She said, "We could tell you were ready. You're adorable. Everyone agreed it should be you." Hearing this from someone he admired was life-changing. It made Kenan realize that people believed in him. From that moment, he decided to keep going. He worked harder, started writing his own characters, and became the star we all know today.
So that I wrote a poem about it. It's called I Am Absolutely Alive. It's in the sway of my hips, the strength of my stride. I am not dead. I am absolutely alive.
Kenan made it clear that he's no longer willing to dress in drag on the show. For years, Kenan has played many Black female characters like Maya Angelou, Jennifer Hudson, and Oprah. But with only a small number of actors of color on the show, he has often been asked to cross-dress for skits about famous women. SNL's cast at the time only had 3 actors of color: Kenan Thompson, Jay Farrow, and Nassim Pedrad, who is of Iranian descent. This lack of diversity led to the situation where Black male actors like Kenan were asked to portray Black women in sketches. Kenan expressed his frustration in an interview with TV Guide, saying he won't play female characters anymore. When asked what the show would do in the future with Black female characters, Kenan wasn't sure. He mentioned that maybe Jay Farrow might have to step in, but even Jay doesn't want to do it. Kenan also pointed out that it's hard for SNL to find talented Black female comedians. He explained that during auditions, there just aren't many Black women who are ready for the job. "It's a tough situation," he said. Jay Farrow, another actor on the show,
"Mom, I tell you why. This is what happened. Bow. Right there. See? Bow."
He agreed with Kenan. He said that the show definitely needs to add more actors of color, including a Black woman. He suggested Darmira Brunson, a talented actress from the show Love Thy Neighbor, as a good choice. He believes she would be perfect for SNL and thinks the show should pay attention to adding more diversity. Despite his frustration with the lack of Black female representation, Kenan had no issues with the 6 new, all-white cast members who joined the show. He praised them for their talent and said they have been doing a great job. SNL has been on the air for over 38 years, and in that time, only 4 Black women have ever been part of the cast. These women were Yvonne Hudson, Denitra Vance, Ellen Cleghorn, and Maya Rudolph. The show has faced criticism for its lack of diversity, and Kenan's comments brought more attention to the issue.
I wrote a poem about it. It's called I Am Absolutely Alive. It's in the sway of my hips, the strength of my stride. I am not dead. I am absolutely alive.
Kenan just recently opened up about this interview that happened in 2013 where he was misunderstood. Kenan explained that his words were twisted. He said, "I was answering based on the knowledge that I had, and however it was written was not what I said. What it was taken as is, oh, you don't think Black women are funny, and that's egregious." He made it clear that he never meant to say Black women weren't funny. He was hurt by how people misunderstood him and how it made others see him before they even got to know him. One person who had a tough time with this misunderstanding was Leslie Jones. She joined SNL in 2014 as one of the few Black women on the show. When Kenan met her, he noticed she was looking at him in a way that seemed like she was checking him out to see if he really said those hurtful words. But after they talked, they quickly became good friends. Kenan said, "Every day we would kick it and hang out and laugh." Leslie understood that he didn't mean what people thought he said, and she ended up doing a great job on the show. Now, everyone knows how talented she is. Kenan shared that he has a lot of experience with SNL and knows how everything works. He said, "The challenge is kind of on myself. However much I want to, give to it or try to create new things." He joked that he might leave the show if people start offering him millions and bajillions of dollars.
First off, a lot of people thought Che should be the one to talk about Kanye, but we discussed it, because Che's Black, but I'm crazy, and we both know which side of Kanye is at the wheel right now.
Pete Davidson recently opened up about how low the starting pay was when he first joined Saturday Night Live, SNL. This sparked a conversation about the financial challenges new cast members often go through. Pete shared how little money was at the start. He revealed that they make about $3,000 per episode. He even joked that his first paycheck went mostly to buying food for himself.
Like every few months kind of thing, because the bills come, every month, no matter what. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
Kenan shared his thoughts on the matter. He responded to Pete's comments by saying, "It's pretty notorious that it's more so about having the job than getting paid for the job." He explained that it's not just about the money when you first start, it's about being part of the team and gaining experience. Kenan didn't say how much he was paid at the beginning of his SNL career, but he emphasized that new cast members have to work their way up. It turns out that Pete wasn't the only one who had to use their first paycheck just to get by. Jason Sudeikis, another former cast member, said that his first paycheck went toward paying for rent in New York City. Sarah Sherman, a current cast member, said she used her paycheck to buy a nice mattress. However, not all the stars used their first paychecks just for necessities. Some of them bought more expensive things. Julia Louis-Dreyfus bought a pair of $75 shoes that she felt were a bit too expensive for her budget. Sarah Silverman spent $300 on a cashmere sweater. Seth Meyers used his paycheck to buy a couch from Crate and Barrel and a big TV. Rachel Dratch bought an apartment, and Bowen Yang splurged on a pair of Gucci shoes. Even though the pay is low at first, many SNL stars say that it's worth it for the experience and the chance to be on one of the most famous TV shows. It's clear that joining SNL is a big deal, even if the pay isn't so great at the start. For many, it's the chance to grow their career and prove themselves in the comedy world. Kenan Thompson has been part of many funny sketches on Saturday Night Live, SNL. But some of his performances have caused big debates, especially when they touched on sensitive topics. These sketches sometimes made people ask, is this comedy too much? Or should SNL be making fun of these serious things? Let's look at a few sketches that really got people talking.
I will strive to be a better person and the husband and father my family deserves.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah. For all of those who have supported me over the years, I offer my profound apology for these multiple transgressions.
Multiple? So it happened more than once?
One of the most talked about sketches was in 2009. This was when Tiger Woods was caught in a scandal for cheating on his wife. On the show, Kenan played Tiger Woods during a fake interview on a news show called The Situation Room. In the skit, Woods keeps coming back on camera with more injuries. The joke was that his wife, played by actress Blake Lively, was hitting him. This upset many people. The head of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence said she was horrified. She felt the sketch made a joke out of abuse, which didn't sit well with her. It also made things worse because the musical guest that night was Rihanna, who had been in an abusive relationship herself. People felt the sketch was in bad taste.
Oh, I ain't done with him by sight. I'm gonna get Old Testament on his ass.
Another sketch from 2011 stirred up even more trouble. This time, SNL made fun of Jesus. The sketch showed Jesus, played by a character, helping a football player named Tim Tebow win games. It even joked about Tebow praying all the time. The sketch ended with Jesus saying, "By the way, Mormonism." All true, every single word. Christian groups were very upset. A well-known TV preacher called the sketch anti-Christian bigotry. Some people even said the show was being disrespectful to their religion. In 2015, comedian Louis C.K. made a joke about child molesters during his opening speech on SNL. He joked about being disappointed that the child molester in his neighborhood didn't want him. Then he said, "From the molester's point of view, it must be exciting to take such big risks." People did not find this funny. Many people on Twitter said it was one of the most offensive jokes in SNL history. Later, Louis C.K. was accused of making unwanted sexual advances towards women. He admitted to the accusations, which made people feel even more uncomfortable about the joke.
Bob? Hey, Ted, how's your Not bad. Good, good. Hey, I'd like you guys to meet Doug. Hey, Doug. Hey, Doug. Hi, guys. Hey, pretty there.
In another sketch, SNL made fun of people at a nude beach. Matthew Broderick played a man who was new to the beach. He meets other men who are, of course, naked. The whole sketch was about them talking about their bodies and saying the word over and over. By the end, the word was said more than 40 times. This shocked many viewers. In fact, the show got over 46,000 letters of complaints because of it. Another moment that even caused trouble was when Jenny Slate cursed during her very first sketch in 2009. Slate was new to the show and was doing a sketch with Kristen Wiig. During the sketch, Slate was supposed to say friggin', but instead, she accidentally said effing. This surprise moment quickly became famous, but it didn't lead to her getting fired, even though some people thought it did. Slate told InStyle in 2019 that she didn't get fired because of the swear word. She explained that she just didn't fit in and wasn't doing a good job. Even though it wasn't the reason she left, Slate admitted in 2014 that she still couldn't watch that sketch. She said it felt like watching someone else fall at their wedding and that she wanted to tell that person to move on. Another shocking moment happened in 2008 when Fred Armisen, a cast member, played New York Governor David Paterson on the Weekend Update segment.
Seriously, going to upstate New York is like walking through a Stephen King novel. You get this feeling like, yeah, all these people might have killed someone together.
Thompson's impression included squinting his eyes to pretend to be blind and acting like he couldn't do simple tasks. The sketch upset people, especially those working with Governor Patterson. His communications director said the sketch made fun of disabled people and suggested that people with disabilities can't do serious jobs. Patterson even appeared on Weekend Update 2 years later to call out Armison's impression, and both Armisen and Seth Meyers apologized. In 2000, Jimmy Fallon did a sketch where he impersonated Chris Rock by wearing blackface. At the time, no one said much about it, but in 2020, a tweet brought it back to people's attention, and the hashtag number #JimmyFallonIsOverParty started trending. Fallon then apologized on Twitter, saying there was no excuse for what he did and that he was sorry for making such a hurtful decision. Chris Rock later spoke about it during an appearance on Fallon's show, saying he was learning and always trying to grow.
I've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and guess what? Not a lot of black folks on the show. Right. Not a lot of black folks on the show. You know why? Because black folks don't like to answer questions.
In 1994, Adam Sandler's Canteen Boy sketch became uncomfortable for viewers. The sketch showed Alec Baldwin as a scoutmaster making sexual advances toward Sandler's character, who was an adult still in the Boy Scouts. The scene became so disturbing that some people turned off their TVs. Even the Boy Scouts of America reached out to complain about the sketch, saying they didn't think making jokes about child abuse was funny. In 1975, Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor starred in a famous sketch together. In it, Chase played an interviewer asking Pryor about a janitor job. They started a word game where Chase said a word and Pryor had to say the first thing that came to his mind. What began as a fun game quickly turned ugly, with both of them using racial slurs. Eventually, Chase said the N-word on live TV. Back then, the sketch was seen as groundbreaking and important. However, when we look at it today, it seems very offensive. Many people now see it as problematic because it made light of racial tensions in a harmful way. Fast forward to 1990, when a famous skit on Saturday Night Live showed Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze dancing for a job at Chippendales, a male strip club. The joke was that Farley, who was overweight, couldn't be a stripper because of his size. At the time, people found it funny because Farley was dancing to Loverboys, working for the weekend without his shirt on, making himself look unattractive. But as time went on, body shaming became less acceptable. Farley himself said he felt pressure to always be the funniest, even if it meant making fun of himself. Chris Rock, another cast member, said that the sketch hurt Farley's mental health. Rock pointed out that the joke was mean-spirited, with no real twist or punchline, just pointing out Farley's weight. Sadly, Farley struggled with self-esteem, and he died from a drug overdose in 1997. Looking back, the Chippendales sketch is seen by many as cruel and a reminder that comedy can sometimes hurt more than it helps. In a recent podcast, Kenan shared how tough it can be to work at a place like SNL for so many years. He said, "Being there a long time, you watch people come and go. It's not just about losing coworkers. Sometimes, people he's worked with and become close to have left the show, and it's hard for him to say goodbye." Some of the recent departures that have made Kenan feel this way include Punky Johnson, who left after being on the show for 4 seasons, and Molly Kearney, who also announced that they wouldn't be returning after 2 seasons. Both of these exits were tough for Kenan, especially because he's spent so many years building strong relationships with the people he works with. But it's not just the leaving of cast members that has been difficult for Kenan. He also mentioned the sadness that comes when crew members pass away. Over the years, he's seen a lot of people come and go in different ways, and those losses are even heavier for him. As Kenan said, "We've had crew members die, all kinds of. It's clear that SNL is more than just a job for him." One of the most difficult moments was when Don Pardo, the show's longtime announcer, passed away in 2014. He had been with the show since it started in 1975, and his death was a big loss to the SNL team. Kenan's time on SNL has been full of memories, both good and sad. He's been on the show for 21 seasons, which is incredible. To put that in perspective, Andy Samberg joined SNL a few years after Kenan and left the show 12 years ago. Samberg, who recently returned to SNL as a guest, spoke about how amazing it is that Kenan is still on the show after all these years. He said, "The wildest S about Kenan is he was there before I got there, and obviously now still is, and he still gets me." Through it all, Kenan has kept making people laugh and has earned several Emmy nominations for his work on the show. In 2018, he even won an Emmy for co-writing a funny song called "Come Back Barack." Being on SNL for so long comes with ups and downs. Kenan Thompson has seen many changes, lost some friends, and faced the reality that time moves on. But he keeps going, making people laugh, and showing just how much heart he has for the show and the people he works with.